Is there a good balance between the trend toward higher CCT white light and more ecologically sensitive, warmer light at night?
You want to go first?
Sure. Yes, there is a trend toward using warmer color temperatures. Initially, when I was involved with some of the first major retail installations of LEDs, we were looking at LEDs at 6,000, 6,500 Kelvin. The Department of Energy even measured some in one of their first street lighting studies for caliper at 15,000 Kelvin. So some of this is extremely blue. It makes the metal halide look yellow. But customers don't respond as well to that type of color temperature. So we're seeing a shift, and concurrent with that, we're seeing LED manufacturers starting to produce LEDs with higher efficacies at lower color temperatures. So that will accelerate the process. What also will accelerate the process is what we'll see from increased efficacies in LEDs overall. I was on a IES Progress Committee meeting 2 weeks ago where we saw 150 lumen per watt lamps and fixtures coming into the marketplace. Several companies have announced for the year 2015 they'll have fixtures and products that they'll introduce at 200 lumens per watt. When those efficacies get that high, all of a sudden the warmer CCT, there just isn't that much difference in efficiency in terms of operating costs. So we will see a movement toward what people prefer, and that tends to be the warmer color temperatures.
Yeah, following up on what Mark's saying is that, by necessity, we started out at high CCT. I mean, 10 years ago, the highest CCT LED wasn't competitive with high pressure sodium in efficacy. You can't market something that is not competitive. So I don't blame the industry for starting at a high CCT point. Over the last 10 years, I also applaud them for making great strides to improve the efficacy of warmer color temperature. It's going to be very important over the next 10 years to dispel the myths that have been built up over the last 10 years that high color temperature is the ultimate for visibility. It's the only, you want a lot of blue light that's going to goose up the mesopic. It's going to basically make it possible for you to see better than you possibly could see under any other light. The missing component is that when you do that, you increase glare. The appearance of glare, the visibility factor of high CCT makes that source appear glary. Well, LEDs are exposed in most cases. You've got very high color temperature point sources that produce a lot of glare. This is hurting the industry in that not acknowledging the fact that glare is as important as any other factor. So if you're selling streetlights to a community, and 50% of the respondents to a survey after they've been installed say the glare is outrageous, okay? But you keep saying that you need to put in 5,000 K CCT in order to get the most efficacious fixture. You basically have cognitive dissonance here. If you want your communities to embrace LEDs, give them the highest quality LED that you can possibly give them. Work on standards so that you're giving them at the illumination level that they're comfortable with, and then get the standards to back that up. So when you install state-of-the-art using the best visibility research, you don't get sued because a lawyer is waiting there in the wings saying, you didn't meet the RPA. And now the city is going to have another reason not to do the right thing.
Bob, to that point, for decades, the street lighting industry has settled on high pressure sodium at about 2200 Kelvin. Do you have a guess as to where we'll be in 5 or 10 years if the industry will narrow, and what will that Kelvin be?
Well, my job
for
is
street
to
lighting.
see the future, okay? And street lighting is my area of concern. I hope dynamic spectral tuning will become standard, especially for outdoor street lighting. There is no reason for us, with the quality of the product, to lock it into a CCT. You could have by mixing your LEDs, you could basically start out at 4K at rush hour. If you want to have as much light as you can possibly get. By 7 or 8 o'clock, you can, tune that to 3,500. By midnight, tune it down to 3K. And then you're balancing ecological responsibility with visibility. Okay? After midnight, the standard may actually say you need no light at all on this street because of the quantity of pedestrian and car traffic. But we will probably have a very hard time weaning cities off of light at night.
But well, you say due tomorrow, and we know cities are experimenting with dimming and controls. Are there any studies going right now with this spectral tuning?
No, it is
Not
brand
one.
new on the market, and we need those kind of acceptance, public acceptance, but we also need the peer research to show that this isn't impacting visibility, and we can do this and win-win. I mean, everybody wins on this. You get the right amount of level at the right color temperature at the right time of the night, and you evolve to something more ecologically responsible when you can, or when it's community will accept it.
Mark?
The product will be there. In reviewing with the Progress Committee over, I guess we had 260 some products that we actually reviewed. Many of them had adaptive lighting functions, both interior and exterior solid state products. There was even one very unique product that will be mentioned at the IES annual conference in November. One very unique product that allowed you to, through software, adapt to color, temperature, and exterior luminaires, and the range is amazing. It isn't intuitive yet, so it needs to be intuitive and adaptive, but the product, I think, will be there. The hardest part is what you mentioned. It's that mindset.
Yeah.
Jan?
I want to say one more thing about the color temperature issue before we move on to something else. The image that's up on the screen right now is 3,000 degree Kelvin LED, and the companion image is halogen at 2,900. And the point I want to make is that even at that close a color temperature difference, LED will never look the same as what we're used to because it's got so much more blue in it to begin with. So we just have to be aware of that as we're going to warmer and warmer color temperatures, which I heartily agree with. We're never going to have it be the same as high pressure sodium or halogen or any of the other warmer light sources the old light sources that we're used to.
But I would say that we can make it appear much warmer. Okay, I mean,
Absolutely.
3,000K has still got a lot of blue. With dynamic spectral tuning, you could make that 2,100. You can make it whatever you want,
Yeah.
and you can do it over time, so it's very visually comfortable.
Yep.
But you aren't going to spend a lot of time, or the consumer won't, making those adjustments to those individual fixtures. It's going to have to be something that's intuitive, that's programmed in.
The smart house of the future is going to dynamically spectrally tune your lighting over time, and it's going to do it for human health reasons. You're going to start in the morning with a high blue content. That's going to alert you. By midday it goes neutral. By 6 or 7 o'clock you're getting warm, and by the time you go to bed it will be very warm, and that will actually help you go to sleep. It will improve your circadian rhythms, and once it's commonplace on the interior market, it will follow in the exterior, but it might be a 10-year lag.